sympathy, but certainly MPs don't either.
Yes, Douglas Ross MP. That's not one for the collection.
Cut it in a style that will be universally popular.
I used to think that Mona-Lot was a fictional character, but it turns out it's actually the First Minister of Scotland.
In the name of Stephen Kerr, a potato with more vitamin C than a lemon.
I am not a potato.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's I Write show with Graham Dallas, musician, and Sean Moore, poet, and me, Wee Jim. So we've had quite an interesting week and some things happening in the last 2 days, but we're going to give you the real news now, because when you watch it on the telly and in the newspapers, they always turn it around and try and like put some negative slant on Scotland. So basically there was the budget, and it's wonderful that people are actually not the budget. It was actually the child benefits. People got $25 pounds. And the site crashed, and this is actually just pointing out about austerity. It's people are suffering and they try and make it out into a bad thing. And then there's the budget, which is obviously a bad thing. And we've got a date for the Supreme Court's verdict, so gonna hand it over to Graham.
Yeah, it was quite funny watching that budget today, because I'm sitting going, "Oh, that's no bad. That's no bad." And you're thinking, "Wait a minute, this is bad," But it's great the way they spin it, when you think he's just put taxes up by 30 billion and he's put austerity back in place, and you're sitting thinking, "Oh, that's great. He's done a good. Oh, right, okay. He's giving money there. He's giving money there." So yeah, I think in the next few days it'll all come out.
Aye.
What's your thoughts, Sean?
Well, guys, you're all saying it's bad and everything, but this is my last week here, because I'm jumping ship. I'm going to vote no now, because the thing that's come out of that budget is Wee Douglas was saying at FMQs today. While you were listening to the budget for Westminster, I was tuned into FMQs, and Wee Douglas pointed out that sounds getting five new frigates to be built by 2028. What do you say to that? So yeah, man, the broad shoulders of Britain. We're going to have 5 ships in the next 8 years. So yeah, man, I'm going to be British from now on, man. We need this.
It was funny. It was funny how they spun the news last week. I think you mentioned it earlier, Sean, that they had, we had great stories last week. I mean, child payment, £100 a month per child to lift them out of poverty. And that's not the news, but the news is that the site crashed for 2 hours, as it would, as everybody's piling in trying to get that money.
Aye. Rather than say, what's wrong with this country, what's wrong with the British system, that all these people are so desperate for a few extra quid to look after their families, rather than look at it that way, it's that Scottish government can't even stop a website for crashing. Yeah, man, it's back to front, and it's totally back to front. But the budget, it's just another kind of bad. I've seen worse Tory budgets in the last 3 weeks. I've seen worse Tory budgets, or whenever that last one was. But it's clever. I like the way they've just kicked everything into the long grass. It's right. We're going to freeze this, but we'll get extra in 3 years' time. We're going to give you some of this, and we'll pay for it in 4 years' time, like when Labour are in power, because they know their tea's out. They know they're not going to survive the next general election, so they've just punted it off into the long grass. It's like the world's biggest payday loan. It's like it's like you're down to some Ned down at a local post office with your pension book in spades. A whole country saying, "Oh, we'll just put this debt back for a few years, and Labour can worry about it."
You get your money.
Aye, you'll get your smackaroonies. Aye, and it's brilliant, because it just means that the next few years, when however long it takes to get the general election, the Tories will just be going, "Right, Labour, how are you going to pay for us? Labour, how are you going to pay for us? How are you going to pay to get us out of this disaster? You're going to put taxes up, aren't you, Labour? You'll put taxes up, like to pay for the Tories' mess. It's absolutely brilliant, man. The only way is escape, isn't it?
The thing that gets me is, right now, I know I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, right? But Liz Truss comes in and she puts a budget in place and everybody goes like, that's going to cost us 50 billion quid. We're going to have a deficit of 50 billion. So she gets punted. Jeremy Hunt comes in. He changes it all, reverses it all. So nothing's been implemented. So that's all. Everything's been fixed, but we're still get this 50 billion pound hole. You know, they come up.
It's still there. It's still there.
Can
On a lighter note, hello to some of the regulars. Linda's right in there, and Colin. Alexander has just mentioned the poor hit again. The power companies handed a bailout. Do you know what? That's they put this thing where the power companies are going to get charged a bit extra tax. There's going to be a windfall tax on power companies. No, just don't make a profit out of power. If the power companies are going to have to pay tax, they'll just put the prices up to recoup that money. So the ordinary punter will just pay more and more. Just don't make a profit out of electricity and gas. Have utilities as non-profit. So, you're right enough, Alexander. And as Red Scotland said as well, man, building warships to support fascism in Ukraine, yet we can't get a hospital appointment. We're getting all excited about these warships today. And while the NHS is dying on its ass, get us out of here, please. I'm a Scotsman, get me out of here.
On that point, can I just mention one thing? There was something in the news today. It was in the National. Leslie Riddoch was actually highlighting it, that with the announcement of the verdict from the Supreme Court, there's going to be rallies, Scottish independence rallies all around the country next Wednesday. So the times and the venues in different cities is announced. So everybody keep your eyes out on that. Be out with your flags and singing freedom songs.
Cool.
Okay, do we want to go into Door of the Week, guys?
Yeah, let's do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Door of the Week!
Okay, Door of the Week. So we've already used, am I right? We've used number 1, number 3, and number 10. So who's choosing the Door of the Week this week? Is it Sean or Graham? Okay, go for it, Graham.
It's me. I've been looking forward to this all week. I think I'll go for door number 2, fill in the gap there.
Door number 2. Okay, let's see what's behind door number 2.
Do you think you'll ever be First Minister?
I hope so. I'd really love to do the job.
You thought she'd win an election. Were you lying?
Well, it was a question on Question Time.
Yeah.
Did I think Liz Truss could win the next election? And I think it would have been a massive story if any Conservative panellists had said a Conservative leader couldn't win the next election when we're over 2 years away.
Well, when you asked that question, you lied.
No.
You thought she couldn't win, but you said something else to avoid a big story.
No, I'm saying that would have been a big story.
You must be worried that we could be looking at a Conservative wipeout in Scotland again.
It's been predicted before. It was predicted in 2019. We were told there would be no Conservatives left in Scotland, and 6 of us were returned and we're back in government.
That was fewer. You did lose seats.
Yeah, yes. But it wasn't a wipeout.
About half, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it wasn't a wipeout. In less than a year's time, she wants to have an independence referendum to divide Scotland all over again in just 11 months' time, when actually there are huge priorities that should be the focus of the Parliament and certainly the government.
Do you think that referendum is going to happen?
No, I don't.
I was going to list them myself, but she does quite a good job of your occasionally changing position on issues. So let's just take a listen.
But you know, Presiding Officer, I'm not sure we should put much store at all on anything Douglas Ross has to say. Let me just reflect on the last few weeks in the life of Douglas Ross, leader, for now, of the Scottish Conservative Party. He called on Boris Johnson to resign, then he U-turned, then he called on Boris Johnson to resign again, then he U-turned again. He demanded that I follow the mini-budget, then he applauded Liz Truss for scrapping the mini-budget. He voted for fracking in England. Now I think he welcomes the fact that the fracking ban has been reinstated. in England. Just last week or the week before, he said that Liz Truss would win the next general election, and days later he welcomed the resignation of Liz Truss. Today he backs Rishi Sunak. Who knows what Douglas Ross's position will be this time next week?
How do you feel listening to that?
Oh, I can only say I detest that man. Honestly, he's always got something to say about Nicola Sturgeon, but he just misses everything that's failing about the Tories. You know, it's like he's stuck on repeat. She shoots him down in flames every time. What do you say, Graham?
Yeah, it was a bit. He called her a fibber today in Parliament, and there he was caught lying in a radio interview there. So I don't know whether that was a wee comeback on what happened to him today. Yeah, he's a strange boy, isn't he? He seems to like getting a pounding. It seems to be a theme in his life. Do you know, he's the leader of the Conservatives in Scotland. I mean, you're just going to get abused for that. So what does he do with his time off? He's off there running the line at a football match. He's running up and down that touchline, getting totally abused at football matches. I kind of think he was a wee guy that when his guidance teacher asked him, what do you want to be when you leave school, Douglas? I want to be a traffic warden, you know. So he just seems to love getting abused.
He's a sucker for punishment, you know. He just puts himself in the firing line every time, you know. And you say he got caught lying. Well, I think most of them, the Tories, they lie all the time, you know. It's just like they don't even blink these days. If they get caught lying, they just go straight into another lie. What do you think, Sean?
True about the glutton for punishment thing, the masochistic. There's not enough people hate me. I want more people to hate me. And that I think just shows that he's a failure as a Tory. He's just a Tory wannabe. Because I mean, in days gone by, the real Tories, the cabinet minister Tories, they were into all that punishment and self-flagellation and all that, you know. But they'd pay through the nose for it, and there'd be some madam doing in a wee dungeon in Soho in London would be making a fortune at them, and then the next minute the papers would expose them. They were real masochists, those guys. They done it properly. So he's just a wannabe, man. He just wants to be like his Tory heroes. But talking about Tory heroes, the interesting thing for me there was that interview was done by Times Radio, and you heard the guy saying the Conservative Party, it's only right-wing press and Tory sympathisers that call them Conservatives. So this was the radio, the online wing of Times International News, one of the most right-wing publications out, the very publications that forced Brexit and all that on us. So when they are decided that the guy's an embarrassment or he's up there for ridicule, he's really lost the battle. God love him. God love him.
It is interesting, though, that I've seen this as well. The press and the telly shows, they are literally giving them, they're giving them flack. And it's good to see, actually, because they are actually giving them firm questioning, and they're quite taken aback by it. They don't know how to respond because they're so used to, like, just, being a total walkover.
The only unfortunate thing is they're comparatively small hitters, the Times Radio and whatnot. If only BBC Scotland would do the same thing, if only the BBC News would do the same thing. But hey, that's another story, isn't it?
Oh, that's such a funny comment. Sorry, Scott. It says, Dougie does my sat-nav voice. You turned in my own driveway. I think that's the comment of the day.
I tell you what, though, Scott, man, if that was your sat-nav voice, I'm surprised you didn't just drive over a cliff, man. And end it all. It's good to hear you back, Scott. It's always great contributions for Scott week in, week out. Jock Thompson says, evening, kiddies. See, I told you we were always bairns. That's how he said that. Evelyn, hi, Evelyn and Linda. Aye, guys. Remind us, let us know some of your favourite U-turns. I like that driveway comment, but there's been some crackers for you, Douglas. And obviously, Nicola reminded them a few FMQs, as did that reporter. So bring them on. Let's hear the U-turns.
It was a wee face when he was listening to it. The head's turned to the side. There's a wee drink, and then it's the.
Yeah, I think it was at the vodka again.
Yeah.
I think he said that he's been to that training that they go to sound personable and approachable and honest and human. And somebody said, do that wee thing, cock your head to the side like a wee dog. It'll make you appear more. It just makes them look more pathetic, man. It really does. Mind the power stance they used to do, the Tories, that was good fun. Mind they were all doing that power stance thing.
I've not seen Douglas doing that right enough. That'd be quite good.
Oh, he's just doing, what was that dance that he did? And he was like, Colin was standing right behind him or something.
Jesus. Aye. You can make me whole again. Aye, that one.
So I don't know about apathetic, but pathetic actually sticks well to him, you know.
Aye, okay. The gift that keeps on giving. I mean, yeah, I don't like watching any Tories or listening to any Tories, and they always make my blood boil, but at least then you can have a wee snigger as well.
Yeah, they make me feel nauseous, but you have to laugh at them because they just literally stabbing themselves in the foot all the time, and they think they're not. They're so posh, you know. They just think they're marvelous.
And he was doing it today again. He turned up at FMQs with us. He couldn't wait to gloat or to celebrate these 5 warships that have been promised, and said, "Ha! So you couldn't get one ferry built, Nicola, in the past 10 years or whatever." And Sturgeon went, well, actually, these ferries were promised to us in 2010. There was 13 ferries promised in 2010. Now, in 2022, you're going to promise 5 by 2028. How's that a success story? The wee guy, he just leaves himself wide open, man.
I saw somebody posted on Twitter that most of their warships are not working anyway, and they're all falling apart, and they had to cut holes in the side to accommodate the engines, and it literally, people are ripping them apart on social media, you know. And I've seen the trolls have gone really quiet today because now we've got this verdict and all this. There was nothing, not one single peep from anyone. So anyway.
Yeah, I think he said they had 5. He had 5 warships, and as you say, Sturgeon slapped them down. You promised us 13, you gave us 5. The first one was supposed to be in service in 2020. It's not going to be in service to 2028, so it's going to be 8 years late, and it's already over budget. And he just left himself wide open to the whole thing, man.
But again, it's also that's the Project Fear thing again, isn't it? That's that coming around. Because that's all you'll hear now when it comes up to the IndyRef as, yeah, what about these jobs at BAA? Do you want ship building to survive on the Clyde? What about these jobs? We need these jobs. I've been promising these ships for the past decade.
Who's going to build our ships for us then? You know, once we're independent, we're going to need a few ships to patrol our fishing grounds. Who's going to build them?
Yeah, I was quite impressed. Nicola said, she said to him, well, I've got a bit more faith in the Scottish shipbuilding industry, so even if we're not getting British government contracts, I think we can tender and get international contracts like other countries do, which was a fair point. I've got faith in our industry. What I was surprised that she didn't come out with, I don't know, maybe it was just a time constraint, was we can build as many ships as we want. We can build loads and loads of lovely traditional ships, pleasure vessels, conventional warships, if we don't spend billions and billions on nuclear weapons that we don't want. And Faslane could be a lovely big naval base, but that's maybe for another day. And again, I'm not an expert on shipbuilding, which is why I wouldn't criticise.
You're not. I heard that you've got a wee tugboat in your bath.
Cutting holes in the side of the ship to put the engines in. That sounds like a design fault. I don't think they should have holes in the side.
No. Can I just say something? You know, like Alistair's literally saying, why warships? And I pointed that out on Twitter during the week, but it's like, you know, they're not even guaranteeing that Scottish people are going to get the jobs. They're just using the Clyde, you know, to build warships. And is that exactly what we want to be happening in Scotland, you know?
Yeah, the thing that gets me is, like, you know, like 60, 70 years ago, if you built an aircraft carrier, you know, it cost you, what, £30 billion or something now. 30 years ago, they were indestructible, but they're one hypersonic missile away from the bottom of the sea, you know. You just need to hit them with one missile now, and there's £30 billion gone.
Or in the case of UK, they spend that much on them that they can't afford the aeroplanes to go on them. But the thing about the warships as well, Aye. There's a bit of dog whistling there, I think. I think there's a bit of dog whistling. They're also appealing to that demographic that they've already got. The military and ex-military personnel who are stationed in Scotland, the people who hark back to these glory days of the empire when we ruled the waves, and you know what I mean, the poppy fascists that grump at you because you're not wearing a poppy in July and stuff like that. These people, I think it was also a wee bit appealing to those guys as well. If you don't support the warships, you don't support the military, you don't support your country, you're a Jeremy Corbyn. Definitely some dog whistling going on, man.
No, you make some good points there. Is there anything else you want to say, Graham, or shall we go on to Thatcher's Bar?
No, I'm finished. No, I think I've talked enough about that wee Joby.
Oh yeah, I love that. Well done. Okay, let's go on to Thatcher's Bar.
We're gone to Thatcher's. We're gone to Thatcher's Bar. We're gone to Thatcher's. We're gone to Thatcher's Bar. We're gone to Thatcher's. We're gone to Thatcher's Bar. Better get your skates on and get down to Maggie Thatcher's Bar.
I don't know why, but this always makes me feel like ordering a drink. Or maybe it's just the fact that it has something to do with Tories, because I don't even drink. I just feel like having a drink.
It did look like quite a welcoming wee pub road, didn't it? It really did.
Okay, so who's on for today on Thatcher's Bar?
Ouch.
Okay, got a splinter.
Ow, I've got no splinter. Ow, but that really hurts. It's like it must have been bitten by something. Oh, yeah. Wow, look at that, a scorpion.
No way!
Oh, yeah, a scorpion.
Are you serious? Oh, it's only small, You okay? Oh, you okay?
Oh. It hurts a lot, and I'm feeling slightly dizzy.
Okay, sit. So I was like, right, get the first aid box out, get me an iodine wipe, sit down, we'll wipe it down. He looked like he wanted to cry.
Oh, that.
Okay.
How did that happen? It was like, of all the people that could get stung by a scorpion. I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm sure it was horrible, but...
I mean, basically, it's like 2 times a bee sting.
Little bugger.
It was that big.
I think it was like that big. You know, it looked like an earwig to me. And I think he's like really a big drama queen. You know, I could think of another word to describe him, but then again, I was trying to be polite. It's the word fanny. He's a fanny. He's making a big fuss about nothing. It's a tiny little scorpion, and I'm quite pleased that it bit him. I just want to know if this poison it's okay itself, because like Tories are toxic, so the poor little scorpion. What do you say, guys?
I just like that total complacency you were there, Jim. It's nothing, man. You want to see what we've got in Africa. Scorpions like yarn, no bother.
It's true, you know, that I'm sure that's actually an earwig, and a small one at that. You know, like he makes such a big fuss about it. It's pathetic.
There's us Scottish guys, we've got enough problems with our domestic, mundane little things like midges and wasps.
Exactly. Can you imagine
those exotic things all look scary to us? Sorry, day.
He'd be having like a little cry about being bitten by a midge. You know, like toughen up, lad. You know, if you want to do these things, toughen the hell up.
Like a lot of bad things that have happened lately, there's been some cracking memes have come out of it on Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. But is he worse than Thatcher? God, Thatcher would have never have stooped that low, would she? I was looking at his career path, and it's a rapid decline. 2019, he was competing to be the new Thatcher. He stood for election as a Tory leader just 3 years ago. They presided over one of the biggest farcical corruptions ever, the PPE and the track and trace thing. And then bump, he lost the party whip, and he's not even in the Tory party now. He's an independent, and he's on a Z-rate celebrity TV show now to, I don't know what for, to get some money or recognition or whatever it is. But that is a rapid decline. That is a spectacular fall from grace. Whereas Thatcher was all about the power, climbing up and pulling a ladder up after you. She would have chewed him up and spat him out, so she would have.
I think Thatcher would have said,
he's below Ross.
Thatcher would have said, "Don't you dare bite me, you little blighter."
Blighter. Aye. No, I think he's the fact he's not even in the party now. I wonder if I don't know, maybe some of the viewers could let us know what's his new party called. He's standing as an independent, so if he was going to form his own party, what would they call it? Any suggestions for us there, man? But he couldn't lace Thatcher's jackboots.
What do you have to say, Graham? You're being very quiet there.
Yeah, no, I just love the clip. You know, it's like he gets a scale. And he's giving it that. Oh, what was that? And like he's looking about, and he's chatting away, and there's not a problem. And then he sees a scorpion, and suddenly, I've been bitten by a scorpion, as if the world's coming to an end, and I'm dizzy. But he just kind of freaks out when he realises it's a wee scorpion. Now, don't get me wrong, I've never been stung by a scorpion. It might have been really sore, but it's just the fact that he's looking about to see what it was, and he didn't seem to be in any distress at that point until he realised, but hey, I've never been bitten by a scorpion, so it might have been the sorest thing in the world. I don't know.
I kind of agree with one of the comments. They said it wasn't a crocodile. The thing is, scorpions come in all shapes and sizes, and it doesn't matter how poisonous it was. I still would have liked to see him being bitten, like stung by a really big one, because it just makes it feel better.
Boy George got it right, didn't he?
What was that?
Boy George's reaction was brilliant.
Was he there as well?
Did you not see him? He was in the clip. He was the guy.
Never noticed. Sorry, never noticed.
He was the guy that was giving it. I mean, of all the people. I'm not laughing.
Right, Scott. Scott, maybe that's what he's hoping for as well.
I just wish Boy George would tie him to a radiator and leave him at the back of the set,
Maybe he was hoping it was a poisonous one and George would suck the poison out for him. I don't know.
Oh my God, no!
Yeah. That's like Big Duke.
Is he not a bit of a lefty though, Boy George? Just George O'Dowd. He's a bit left wing, isn't he? So hopefully he'll.
Very much so, yeah.
Maybe he'll arrange another accident for him, man. Here's hoping. God, talking about people being worse than Thatcher or spies in the camp and all that. Red Scotland mentioned George Galloway. God, we could fill a whole programme with Galloway, couldn't we? We could fill a whole series with George Galloway. Scott the very man, he's kind of hinted at the age group that he is, Scott. As I say, he's a good contributor week in, week out. And he mentioned that luncheon vouchers to wear a nappy and be a naughty boy. That's Dougie's Twitter bio. So I remember that story. That was what was that, late 70s, Graham?
What was that?
The luncheon vouchers to wear a nappy and be a naughty boy when we were talking about past Tory MPs and things and dungeons in London. So Scott the very man's either Googled that or he's got a good memory, or he was involved.
There's been that many scandals with those Tories, though, isn't there, over the years?
Do you know what? I remember at primary school when hearing about this. It was actually Lib Dems, Jeremy Thorpe and that. And then a few years later in the 80s, I remember a musical coming out, a film about the Profumo affair. Like, when things happened in those days, it brought down governments and guys resigned in shame. And it was all, Now it's like, aye, right, what's happening this week? Who's pumping who? Who's robbed who? Who's filtered half millions to who? Who's? I mean, we've got a foreign secretary and a prime minister that were openly telling secrets to the Russians and all that. Nothing happens. As I say, years gone by, that would have brought down whole governments. It really is shocking. We're talking about raising Thatcher's bar. Our bar of expectations has been really lowered. And that's worrying because they know they can just keep getting away with it.
So what's the verdict? Is he worse or better than Thatcher?
Well, you know, he doesn't come near her really, does he? But he has made his mark, you know, like that wee affair in his office when he's got the secretary up behind the door. Somebody stuck a camera in his. Who stuck the camera in his office? That's what I would love to know. Somebody has totally stitched him up there. They've known what's going on. They've gone in there and they've stuck a wee webcam up there to catch him out. So the whole office pool must have known for weeks before what was happening in that office when the two of them closed the door, you know. And somebody's thought, right, I'm going to stick a wee camera in there and make a few quid off for us.
Aye. They didn't even need to buy the camera because the Sun supplied it, didn't they? The Sun newspaper gave them it.
I wonder how much the guy got for it though. I'm wondering what he must have done, or the guy or the woman, whoever stuck that in there, he must have done all right out of that wee scoop. And then it was, remember, he gave his he gave his landlord something like £30 million COVID contract. The guy who owned his local boozer.
Aye. You know? And that's one thing that Thatcher might be proud of him about. As I say, he's an abject. He's failure in career-wise, but he's had that downhill spiral. But I think she might be proud of him for what he did with the PPE. That was spivery on another level. The backhanders and the billions siphoned off. She would have been proud of him for that.
I can imagine his local landlord though. You know, I'll give you a £30 million contract if you can supply bottles for the samples. And he's turning up with all the Beck's bottles, empty Beck's bottles, and putting them outside his office. Give me 30 million for returning old bottles. You know, brilliant.
Evelyn Hume has suggested that now that he's standing on as an independent, his party should be called the Private Public Equity, or PPE for short. And that's who bankrolled them.
Just want to say thanks to Red Scotland for your nice comment there. It's like good that you're enjoying the show.
Thanks for joining in, buddy. And any suggestions for next week? Who you want analysed or criticised, or let us know. Always open for more ideas. Thanks.
That's such a funny comment. Sorry.
What is it?
If there's Boris on the screen, looks like he's taking a bout out of Thatcher's.
It does, doesn't it?
Boobies.
He's just pausing, going left or right. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Okay, so worse or better? I think they're all worse. That's my opinion. All of them are worse. They're terrible.
Yeah, I don't think he comes close to Thatcher. I think he needs to be doing there beside the wee Jobby.
Aye.
I'm loving the pictures on here, Graham, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sean, worse or better?
He's down with Douglas. He's a wannabe. He's a pure wannabe. Still dangerous, but nowhere near that standard.
Okay, are we ready to go on to the double agent of the week?
Yeah, let's go for that.
Spies.
It's not coming up for some reason. Oh, I don't.
I think they've got into our system and they've literally spied us out. We've been hacked.
Spies. Spies in a camp. Spies in every camp. It's always been the way. Spies, shills, agents, agent provocateurs, double agents. And we have ours, out there in a field. Some undercover, some hiding in plain sight. Didn't hear this from me, but some of ours have infiltrated the very rotten, corrupt heart of the opposition. And they're doing a good job.
So, who's the double agent of the week?
A sovereign state has the right to withdraw if a treaty is no longer compatible with its fundamental interests or fundamental circumstances, putting it a different way, have changed.
A sovereign state has the right to withdraw if a treaty is no longer compatible with its fundamental interests or fundamental circumstances.
Oh, I love it. You know, they really do actually say the things that actually mean this is right for independence for Scotland. Typical double agents. Well spotted.
You wonder how the Supreme Court could go against us when you hear that, don't you? You know, he's just spelt out the whole case.
It's not the first one as well. A whole lot of them have been saying this, you know, and people have been repeating it on social media. They are literally saying this when they left the EU. They are saying it still, you know, and this is like such double standards, you know, but there he is, double agent.
Well, Jeffrey's a right warmer, right enough, isn't he? He was the guy that was standing up in Parliament, you know, saying that we shouldn't be stopping the tax havens and we shouldn't be putting restrictions on them. Then it turns out he's getting paid about £1 million a year to work for the Cayman Islands, you know, and he's been doing it for about 20 years.
I kind of see potential in the clip as like, you know, people make these and they put together a whole lot of stuff and they turn them into techno songs, you know, where they've got like all the Tory like boo-boos and, you know, just make it into a song. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, that would be quite good actually if that was done. Aye.
Yeah, just string them all together.
They're standing up in we've got them standing up in Parliament telling us that we've got the right to leave if we don't want to stay. So that comes. Well, he had quite a high position at that time. I think. What was it, Attorney General or something? Is that the title? Is that the right title? Aye. So there you go.
Yeah, the time flies when you're having fun. And we've got so many comments, guys. Is there any more comments that we want to look at? Sean, did you want to say anything about Jeffrey Cox?
Jeffrey Cox, aye, but just getting back to the comments, Dub Cadet said, it's a shame it wasn't a crop that bit him, but Dub Cadet, I just love that name, Dub Cadet. I'm seeing an apprentice reggae star. We are the Dub Cadets. Alan Crowe had said enough about the boats, HS2. Yeah, HS2, that's another thing about the budget today. Thanks for reminding us about that, Alan. HS2 will go ahead. So while we're talking about a few million, yeah, it's a lot of money. A few million, and a couple of years later, along at Greenock, Port Glasgow there, the HS2 debacle that's cost billions and will cost billions more is going to plough on regardless. They've just promised that they will keep spending billions on that. So, yeah, that's one to throw at the Tories and the Broad Shoulders crew. Yeah, the lovely people in the rest of the UK are asking the Scots to build 5 frigates by 2028. The lovely Scots are also paying for this big white elephant of a train track ploughing up the middle of England at a cost of billions. So cheers for reminding us of that, Alan. Ashbury Stumble, hello, Feed the Bear. What were we talking about there?
Can I say one thing, please? When I went down to get the National to find out about like this Leslie Widoch thing and these rallies all over the place, I saw a headline that said they're restricting the sale of eggs. Okay. And you talked about throwing things at the Tories. And I think that's why they've restricted the sale of eggs, because they're making such a boo-boo of everything that people literally want to throw eggs at them. So now they're saying, oh, you can't buy more than a certain amount of eggs at one time.
I remember saying that a couple of weeks ago. I'd been in Lidl and there was not an egg in sight. And I thought it was this linked to the legislation that the Tories had just passed outlawing demonstrations and protests. And then I was listening to a programme the other day, and no, for once, it's not totally the Tories' fault. it's a lot to do with bird flu, which is raging all over the world. But it is still the Tories' fault, because it's not just about the bird flu, it's also about the supply chain. Thanks, Brexit. Still feeling the effects of Brexit. Aye. But your man, Geoffrey Cox, he'll not be afraid to do a U-turn. He's a bit like Douglas in that respect. He'll just brass neck it and do a U-turn and say one rule for Scotland, one rule for the UK. He's been doing U-turns all his life, or showing hypocrisy all his life. He's the guy that had to retire from his post as on the Standards and Privileges Committee at Westminster, because he was the highest earning MP in the whole place, which is quite an achievement when you think about it. He earned 400k outside of his MP's duties that year, so he had to resign for the Privileges and Standards Committee, where he was telling other people how to behave. Also, the guy who got into bother for claiming 49 pence on expenses for a pint of milk. But he blamed it on his staff. While he was the highest paid MP in Britain. He's a fox hunter. He's a pro hunting lobby. Big part of the fox hunting fraternity, who also had a seat on the Rural Affairs Committee in Westminster. The guy that's deciding how countryside matters should be run and all that. So as far as saying one thing and then the other, or just being pure brass neck ranked hypocrisy, he's a classic Tory in that respect. So he'll I don't think he'll have any problems denying it or U-turning.
There's a thing, Jem, when the eggs come back, instead of having fox hunting, we could have Tory hunting. Instead of setting dogs on them, if you catch them up, you can just throw eggs at them.
Well, I think tomatoes work really well. I think that when we get independence, the stockade should come back, and we literally put these people in there and just pelt them. Well, like anything, like don't even waste food, just anything, I can say something, but it won't be nice.
And just talking now that we've touched on the bird flu thing, serious though it is. I mean, I was listening to people, the RSPB, talking about some of the geese, gannet populations up in the Hebrides really getting decimated. Might take a long time to recover, if ever. Linda Ross, we have 10 hens, but we're only getting one egg a day. I think they've joined the masses and went on strike. So yeah. Go on yourself, Linda's hens.
No, I mean the bird flu is quite serious, but
is that no Wallace and Gromit film where the hens done that? They all went on strike or something.
Yeah.
Escaped.
Okay, is there any other comments we want to see before we go on to our now for some completely different? Any more comments that you want to pick up on there, Sean?
I don't have them up on the screen.
Been so many.
So yeah, I think Sir Geoffrey Cox, he's doing a good job, man, and hopefully that's a clip that will get played left, right, and centre when they're telling us, get back in your box, you had your referendum once in a lifetime, etc.
I really want to see somebody putting some of these clips together and making it into like a techno club mix, and the way that was slowed down, it was like 100%. I'm going to put that as my alarm when I wake up in the morning, and it just pulls out that clip and as the voice.
Put a poster of him up in your ceiling.
Just the voice and what he's saying, because he's literally saying, like exactly.
Oh, sorry, I picked you up wrong there, Jim. I thought you had a wee thing for him there. I thought you found the voice quite sexy. Sorry.
I was wondering, I put a picture of him up in your ceiling. Oh.
No, it was the words. Like, you're literally going to give me nightmares. I feel like I'm going to boke now. Thank you very much. It was the voice and what he was saying.
Right, okay. I believe you.
Just you keep that picture of Douglas Ross up there, hen. Don't you take that down for anybody.
I detest Douglas Ross. Seriously.
That's the kind of thing you used to get at school, though, wasn't it? When a girl used to fancy somebody, I hate him. Yeah, so watch yourself there.
I'm not saying anything because
I like the way
detestable.
I like the way Jem used the word detest, though. That was the N word a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? I detest them and all they stand for.
Yeah.
Oh,
we could be quite woke.
Oh dear. Okay, so we've got comments just flying in here like
Peter Dogood, aye, Geoffrey Cox, except for viewers in Scotland. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's something that was actually quite a few years ago, but they didn't even used to, on the weather forecast, they didn't even used to show the Outer Hebrides, And, there's so much focus and they've got so much to say about Scotland, but they never used to have it,
I think it starts and stops at Sunderland, though.
Oh, is it Darlington?
Darlington, that was it. Sorry, Darlington. Sorry.
Oh, thank you to Red, by the way, and check out all the old the archives of the shows are up there as well. So if you need a good laugh, just go and have a look. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Graham or Sean.
And again, what I would say to Red, and there's a couple of other people that have just tuned in tonight for the first time, in amongst all the carry on and the slaggings off, sometimes in among that comment, and among those comments, and sometimes we might say something sensible as well, there is salient points being made, and it's just wee reminders of the ammunition, the replies that we need when we're out there talking to the unconvinced or the knobbags. We're still allowed to say that.
I just see Linda's comment coming up. I am not I hate the Tories.
Okay, so we are actually going on for 7:45, and I don't know if you guys have got anything to say, but maybe it's time to say our goodbyes, although I'm just loving the comments and the chat. And
what are you going to do yourself next week? What are you going to spend all your extra money on after this budget? Your big windfall? Have you got any plans? Are you going on a Caribbean holiday or anything?
I'm going to the independence rallies for the announcement, regardless of what they say from the Supreme Court. I will be there live streaming. That's on Wednesday. All around Scotland. So get your flags out, guys and girls, and get your singing voice on, your whistles, your drums. Be there, It's going to be on.
This will be happening in different towns, Jen, and folks should look out at their local yes groups or whatever.
Yeah, it was in Independence, but you're just going to have to look around on it and, literally go on to Independence Live. We'll be putting where they are and which cities, But I think sometimes they actually social media works against us in some ways in that they don't allow people to see what's happening. Yeah. But please, everybody know there's going to be rallies all around the country on Wednesday.
Yeah, that would have been a great day to do, the Bridges for Indy lot.
Yeah.
If they got that out, just every bridge in Scotland had flags on it.
Yeah, well, I think Leslie Riddoch's doing a Zoom for people who can't make to the different venues, but everybody get out there. If you can't get to one of the venues for the rallies, go, put your flags on the bridges, put them everywhere, get your stickers out, whatever, Just
also, a bit smaller scale, but on Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. In the Arlington Bar in Glasgow, a few people, Scottish Resistance among them, are arranging not a rally, a social. Obviously, the Arlington Bar is where the Stone of Destiny allegedly ended up. Allegedly, still is. So there's some good musos coming along there. I think Alistair McDonald's doing a turn. Gavin Parks.
There is, yeah, definitely. Well done.
So if you're about the West End or about the city on Saturday afternoon, get yourselves up there, man, and get connected. Start reconnecting with people and start getting things happening again.
Yeah, brilliant. And you can get to see it because apparently when they took it up to Scotland, they made a replica and they got sent back down to England, and the original is sitting there. So whatever you think of it.
Drink the Arlington Bar, actually. Yeah, it was a watering hole of mine many, many years ago, back in the day. Great wee pub.
Okay, and Jock Thompson sent us a wee link there, time for Scotland.Scot. Linda Ross has gone to the Dumfries rally, so yep, she's already involved in that. And Michael Meeke, soon the Scottish media will be starting. That's what we're aiming for, Michael. Until then, until we can have properly funded media and escape the restrictions that we're under, we just need to become the media ourselves. So everybody
be the media. But can I just mention that what Jock's brought up there, that website is the one that's literally the one for finding out where all the rallies are. It's time for Scotland.Scot. So let everybody know about that and keep an eye on it because that's where the announcements are going to be.
And Nigel Nigel Thornton, nothing but a Celtic fest. Yeah, we've been talking about Celtic all night, haven't we? Nigel, don't know what website you think you've landed on, son, but thanks for your contribution.
Good Dundee supporter, me.
Aye, here's me in my St Mirren colours. Anyway.
Right. Okay then, is that us?
Have you got a wee joke to finish us, to send us away smiling with?
We are going to go out with
depressing
something
financial stuff.
Yeah. We're going
There
out
we
with
go
something
then, we'll get a
totally
wee
different.
something different tonight.
Suella Deville, her insecure outbox gives Putin a thrill, makes Bojo look like he's a Marxist shill. Suella Deville.
The glint in her eye, the smile on her face when micro processing centers say there's no more space. She's pretty sure there's still some more to fill. Check the seller, says Suella Deville.
She leaks important governmental data, resigns because that's the proper thing to do, gets hired back like 20 minutes later, but she's sure to turn the job down, wouldn't you?
She'll sink migrant ships, she'll laugh as they die. If she doesn't scare you, you're a braver man than I. Thought pretty was the scariest until Suella Deville.